Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Problem Solvers Forum with Joe Manu Kessel and Chris Jackson. It is a politics-free forum, as we always insist on all our uh, podcasts. Here we discuss issues relative to developing Mother Liberia via the private sector. Today we have a special guest whom my co-host Chris Jackson will be introducing. But of course, if you are on the Liberian social media ecosystem, you know who Miatta Stella-Herring is. Go ahead, take it, Chris.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Miatta Stella-Herring needs no introduction. As I am reading her brief professional profile, she has been one of those who have been very active, females, and Liberian females who have been very active in both the public and private sector of Liberia. And she is very passionate about seeing Liberians get involved in the private sector. She is currently doing some great things on the ground with Liberian startup businesses. And we purposely invited her to come on the Problem Solver podcast to share with you all what she is doing and to inspire other Liberians to get involved in the private sector of our country because the private sector is very important for all Liberians to get involved and move our dear country forward into the 21st century. So we are very delighted to have her on to share with you all her impeccable credential and experiences that she brings to the table. Miss Miatta Stella-Herring, please introduce yourself briefly to our audience.
Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I am Miatta Stella-Herring. I like to term myself jack of all trade, boss of none. I don't particularly like resumes and like talking about myself. I prefer the work that I do to speak for me. But Mr. Chris and Mr. Joe insist that I tell you a bit about myself. So let me just give you a brief, like I say, something about me. So I'm Miatta Stella-Herring. I'm a retired educational media specialist of 25 plus years with the Newark Public Schools. Prior to that, I worked in a banking institution for Citibank, New York. I worked for TD Bank, which was Commerce Bank, prior to being sold to a Canadian company, and now it's TD Bank, if you're familiar with it. I am a journalist by profession. I have a master's degree in broadcast communication and a bachelor's in broadcast communication, a master's in educational media and communication, or critical thinking certification from Montclair State University, both my bachelor's and my master's from Seton Hall University in New Jersey, a teaching certification from Kean University, and all kinds of little other this and that and everything else in between. Okay. So I've been doing advocacy for Liberia since I was 15 years old. We were the founding member of Blamadon Theater Workshop. If you ever heard, it was led way back in our day, normal days, directed by Kona Kaisu, if
Yeah,
you ever heard that name before.
yeah.
And Philemon Ho, which was a South African, and he was the assistant to Kona Kaisu. So we started the National Theater. I also work for Liberia Broadcasting Corporation under the directorship of Mr. Chauncey Cooper, with Olivia Shannon and Wilmot Stubblefield and all of those folks. I see you shaking your head so you can relate.
Because you are an iconic figure and you say to us, don't tell people a whole lot of stuff about me. So that's why I said, let you be the one to tell the folks.
Those people are from our generation.
Yes. But fast forward to this generation, I have been advocating for Liberia and continue to do so. I see the glass half full and never half empty. I've worked with many organizations on the ground. And before I continue, I like to pay homage to my sister, my friend, the late Miss Victoria Tory Ward. And Vicky and I were destined to be connected because our coming together, our friendship was through the work that she was doing, and I was invited to. I got lost through the woods of New Jersey trying to find the place where she was, and it was my birthday. So usually my birthday, I invite people not to sing happy birthday to me, but to get involved in some activity. So for my birthday, I decided that I was going to go check out this organization. And when I went, we hit it off. There was a lot of things going on. I won the raffle, 2 bottles of wine, and we clicked. She said I was going to pick up the wine. She said, no, I will bring it to you. She brought it to me, and the rest is history. We clicked mentally, psychologically, physically, and we became so close that her sudden death last year is still unbelievable to me.
Everybody.
Still a burning sensation in my heart. She's right there on my refrigerator, and I wake up in the morning and it's like, what happened? What happened? Because we were close. I knew a part of what was going on, but I didn't know the depth of what was going on. And I found out through someone who called me 6 o'clock in the morning and told me to have the sympathy. And I'm like, sympathy for what? And they told me, and I blew up. I'm like, you know why? You're Liberian people. You lie all the time. You don't get information correct. Get off my freaking phone and blah, blah. And she started to apologize so profusely because she didn't realize that I didn't know. And I didn't know. But the weekend before that happened, I had called. We had been texting and communicating. But then there was a stop. And so I sent a message to her sister, Vivian. It's like, why am I getting in touch and there's no response? And she said, your sister said she would call you. And that was it. But she was so inspiring. She loved Liberia, her country. She loved the people of Liberia, but particularly the children of Liberia. And she wanted to see them excel so much that she invested all that she had, all that she was, into making sure that the Ward School continues. I'm a board member of the Ward Foundation, which she decided. She didn't ask me. She just told me, you're on there. I'm putting you on. And that's the sister that I had, the friend that I had. And as God put her for the purpose, he took her for the purpose. But he left us with the baton to carry on. So to all the women of Africa, there's people on the forum who's listening that's heard this a gazillion times. But each time it brings on more meaning. And it was her favorite. And it goes like this. Oh, Africa, my Africa, land of proud ancestral spirits. I have never known you, but your blood flows in my vein. Your beautiful black blood flows in my vein. Oh, Africa, we have come to pay homage to you, our motherland. We've come as your sons and daughters to honor you, to adore you, to worship you, to pay homage to you. And in paying homage to you, Mother Africa, we want to tell your story, that great story that begins with the beginning of all mankind, all humanity. This is your story, Africa, for you are the beginning of all things, of all philosophies, of all ideas, of all sciences. Yes, you are the beginning of them all, yet you are abused, condemned, insulted. Your enemy says you've done nothing. You have given nothing to humanity. They forget that you, Mother Africa, are humanity. In spite of all your greatness, you stand today an infant, a wiggling, a pitiful shadow of yourself. After all your inventions, Africa, after all your conquests, Africa, after all and all, with all of your wealth, your gold, your diamond, your spices, with all of your age, with your sunlight and your age, they call you dark and young. Yes, dark and young. We said we came to sing praises to you. We're not here to mourn, to complain, yet because you are a contradiction, your story is a contradiction. And in praising you, we must also mourn for you and your lost glory. But we must tell it all so that future generations of Africans will never forget your agonies, your pains, your defeats, your victories, and your impending redemption to your majestic past. Your story, like yourself, Mother, begins with the youth.
Okay.
Bravo. Bravo.
Very good.
Bravo.
To the youth, to the children.
Miatta, I didn't know poetry was part of your repertoire.
Bravo.
Yeah, I told you, say,
I didn't know it was part of your portfolio.
I told you I jack or trade boss on that. Don't ask me nothing.
This is the woman who said, "Oh, you don't see a whole lot of stuff about me. I'm just a common person."
I'm just a common person. What did I tell you? I said, let my wife speak for herself. And now I say, hey, welcome to plenty paper. Yeah, I say, don't read no document.
Let's stick to the basic. Let's stick to the basic.
But Miatta, you, on a serious note, you really fit the mold of this program because
yes, you really do.
You're indeed a problem solver. I mean, you and I had a conversation for, I think, about what? Maybe 20, 25 minutes earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And what most people don't know is that you are investing in Liberia's human infrastructure. When I say human infrastructure, you got these programs with young people.
Yeah.
And besides the human aspect of it, but the food infrastructure, you're also investing in that area too.
That's correct.
You and I discussed the fact that you're looking at not only the problem solving, but the analytical aspect of chess. And that's something you were thinking about, taking to Liberia.
Absolutely. Not taking Liberia is been on the ground since 2016, maybe. So what I did with all the ramblings going on, and this too much of politicking that we all don't understand, we stay shuffling with, and looking at the old school people who stuck in their ways and don't want change, but yet we want change for the country, but you can't teach old dog new tricks, like the people say. So how do we go about trying to reinvent ourselves? Was it through us who stuck in our ways? Or was it the new generation to whom the future belonged? And I say, rather than be here and there, over drinks, and when you get you belly full and you get you a little bit of something in your head, then you start yapping. Let's look at some other ways of reaching these young children. And so I thought that we play Ludo, yeah. We play checkers, yeah, you know. But what game is a game that children will play, but yet they're learning critical thinking, which is the skill that we need in Liberia. And the only solution was chess, because that game, you learn critical thinking, you learn camaraderie because you have to have a partner, you learn strategy because you have to move those pieces, you know. So it encompasses all that we need to grow and to excel the minds of our young people. So then I thought again, how do you go about presenting this without somebody looking for pay? Because everything in Liberia, you got it. By the time you open your mouth, we're in there for me. Okay.
It's a cultural phenomenon.
Exactly. So how are we going to come there? Because we're not a business. We're not running a business per se that we're hiring people to compensate. So I presented the idea to my partner, one of my many partners, Dr. Patrick Boris. And in the conversation that he and I had, he said, "Oh, but the Chess Federation is in Liberia, you know, and I'm going to put you in touch with them." Fantastic. So I go to Liberia. He links me up with the federation. I meet with them, and I present the idea. And of course, it's the same old usual thing. Somebody's coming at you. Somebody wants you to do this and do that. I said, "Look, let me tell you something right now. This is not a business. I'm not hiring anybody. But here is what I have to say to you guys. If you're passionate about chess, teach chess. If you have a space, provide the space. And my organization will provide the chess boards, chess pieces. To me, that's a win-win situation." So I spoke to the group. There was one young man, Daniel Colimeni. He got it. And he came to me and he said he was willing to work with me. So Daniel and I launched the program. Liberia Thinks Chess is the Game is the name of the program. I will begin to place the program in schools and in communities. And the first school that we engaged in Liberia that already had the chess program and Daniel was already working with was the Lush School on Camp Johnson Road. We hit it off. We initiated the program, and we've placed the program in other schools. In B.W. Harris, there's a young lady who is the chess championship. She was in the 7th grade last year. She's probably in the 8th grade by now, 9th grade. And she was excellent. When she won the championship, I asked her, I said, "What do you want?" And I was expecting the usual answer from Liberians. You know, it's from America now. I want this, I want that. And she said, no. She said, "I don't want anything." So I said, "Well, in Liberia, I want nothing." I said, "You sure you want nothing?" She said, "No, I want nothing." I said, "So what you want me to do?" She said, "Enter Miatta, the only thing I want you to do is to bring chess to my school so I can teach my friend there." Wow. 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 She attends B.W. Harris School. And so I said, if that's what you want, that's what you got. And I immediately sent the chess boards to B.W. Harris, had Daniel go engage the principal, and we launched the program at B.W. Harris School. I also, of course, naturally, launched the program at the World Foundation, because I'm on the board of the World Foundation, and we also launched the program there. We also have the program at Providence Baptist Church Nursery School. The kindergarten first grade class, you should, I don't know if you saw on my Facebook page, but you should see these little kids that young setting up a chessboard. It is amazing. I have a video on there. But you see, they're willing and eager to learn.
Mm.
What they need is that motivation from us
Yeah.
to take them from point A to point B. That's what our children need. Given the situation from which we come, 2 decades of war, you talking about the parents of these children, or even perhaps the grandparents of these children in school now. But the parents during the 2 decades of war had none of what they're beginning to get and lost everything that we had. So when we're pointing fingers at these refugees, you're ever down, you know, you're, when you're doing that, you have to stop. The Bible says, be still so that you can know that I am God. If you're not still, so listen to what he's sending to you, what he's giving to you, you miss it all. So the time you take to ya and yo and point fingers, how about you be still? Because it might come to you and then you might be able to pass it on. You might able to get the idea, the roadmap. You might get the linkage with somebody else like V and I did to be able to move things forward. Because when she called me and she said, Miatta, I knew what a different conversation we're having. When she said, Miss Herring, that was a whole, that means it's time to work. We maneuver, I tell you, via the Ebola vaccine from Washington, D.C. to get it to New York on a plane to get to Liberia. Because when she called me, that means we think tanking, minds together, working to figure out the best possible way to solve that issue.
Right.
Miatta, if you don't mind, may I just interject quickly?
Go ahead.
Okay. Talking about chess, I'm
Yes.
sure you and Joe are aware of this.
Yes.
The current champion of the International Chess Players Association is a young African American.
Absolutely.
And
I
then
know
I
that.
was watching 60 Minutes a few Sundays ago, and they had the Nigerian American actor David Oyelowo, who also has established a chess program similar to yours in his village in Nigeria.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's a documentary about that.
Here's the thing, the difference with us, Liberian, and the mindset that we have that slows us down consciously or subconsciously. Maybe we don't realize how detrimental and destructive we are to our own self. We're so busy with the crab barrel syndrome, trying to pull
There
each
you go.
other down,
There you go.
that we miss this nose that's right in front of us, that when you look down, that's what you see. We miss that, and it's right there. My grandmother, when I was growing up as a child from the ordained chiefdom, Omenazuo Onida, meaning your spirit, your energy is within you. You don't need to be looking at Chris way over there, at Joe way over there, trying to figure out that hat he got on his head, where he got it from, how much it costs, and you will go after to all ends until you buy that hat that Joe got on his head, trying to show off with. Omenazuo Onida. So you got to go within you, because when God created you and molded you and placed you in the womb of the woman who was blessed, you were already formed. You were already made. Every creativity and talent that you needed to survive within his universe, you already had. Or they placed you with someone who was to nurture you and bring you into the fold. And when you got to that place where you were conscious of whose you are and who you are, you were to take it and run with it. And not look at Joe hat or Chris's glasses. Because guess what? You know whose you are and who you are. And so if you have it within you, it's not a problem at all. But because we seem to have removed ourselves from that, unfortunately, to our detriment because of our historical background, the systemic situation of our nation, the master mentality of our nation is brought us to where we are. How do we break that chain?
Yeah.
It's what we have to work on. It's what we need to do. It's where we need to be looking. It's who we need to find within our circle that will help us to elevate. And as we go, we're pulling somebody else along with us rather than pulling them down and spitting on them and throwing them down. That's what we need to be doing.
Okay. So,
So
Joe,
Miatta, yeah, go ahead.
no. I want you to first respond to what she just said. How do we begin to move our little country forward collectively with the same mindset? Because let me just say one more thing, Joe, because there are many Liberians who believe that we cannot because of our differences along ethnic lines, which I do not believe in, for the fact that I lived in 3 counties, okay, not just Montserrat. I live in 3 counties to familiarize myself with our ethnic differences and how can we coexist. And as she said, that is what has made me who I am. So please, my dear brother, go ahead.
Yeah, the ethnic differences, I think people just blow it up. Liberians, amongst all the Africans, I lived in England before coming to the United States. You know, that's why I went to college. I was there for almost 5 years. Liberians, one of the few African countries, or perhaps the only African country that ethnic tension or ethnic differences does not exist. And I'm saying that here on this forum. It just doesn't, Liberians don't look at you as, oh, they meant from this tribe, I'm from this tribe, so I can do this with him. No. But the older folks, people in the late 50s, 60s, they are the one that always focus on ethnic differences. The younger people don't care about it. They really don't give a damn about it. Young Liberians, you know, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, what they care about, the men from this place, are from this, they don't care about it. I just got back from Liberia 2 months ago. So the ethnic differences is amongst the so-called Liberian elites and so-called intelligentsia. They don't want to try to cook it up because they're doing it because they feel that they can use there's some sort of advantage they find in it. The younger folks, they don't give a damn about it. They really don't give a damn about it. It's the older folks that identify, you know, those sort of fissures, ethnic fissures and tensions. Or I'm a crime man, I'm a Americo-Liberian. I mean, what do Americo-Liberians still exist? You know, that's just not a denomination that's just not a nomenclature that actually exists anymore.
The sad
But it's the older people who remember that they don't want to bring that nonsense up. And every time you hear somebody arguing about that nonsense, you know, some sort of a fissure, you know, ethnic fissure, they're always in their 60s, late 50s. The young people don't care about it.
And I was going to say the sad thing about it is that even the people who trying to belong, they themselves don't understand what they're segregating against. They don't. Because here I am, when I dress in Western clothes, you think I Liberian. When I put on my bomber and tie my lapa and dance Burma for you, you will not know how country I am.
Yeah.
Right? And I can do it. Okay, so I'm sitting here, I'm tied up. I tie my hair. In my house, I have a salon, African room all by itself. I went to school, but you don't know my story. You don't know my story. So when you see me, you automatically assume, based upon what you see, that I might be a miracle Liberian. But you know, I come from Gogbe. And I'm on Neo, I'm aware. In day it says, we who were, we live again.
You know what, Miatta?
Why?
I used to hear that all BC back in the day. I'm what dialect was that?
Thomas Fangon used
You
to bring
remember
it. So I'm telling you now, Thomas Fangon.
Chris, you remember it, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Thomas Fangon was the man who brought the news in the day.
Exactly. I used to hear that BC, growing up. I said, what did he say?
Yeah. Yes. You see, but then again, because we didn't study our history, then we don't know much about the Dane people either. Because they say Dane Gola. There's a Dane and there's the Gola. And I recommend everybody to please join Dr. Patrick Burroughs' class. He has a class on Liberian history. And I assess him with that. If you can put a group of 15 people together, he would teach a class based on the original Liberian history. He's written many books that he would teach. The course costs $30 per person. Mm-hmm. And he liked to put a class of 15 together. So I usually get a group of classes for him, and we do that. You all, both of you know that this year is the 200th bicentennial of the Providence Baptist Church, the cornerstone of the nation, where the Constitution, Declaration, flag, and everything were formed. A historic site. It's the 200th anniversary. It's being celebrated in 4 quarters. Coming December, this October, November, December is the last quarter. So everybody was invited. We gave out 200 awards to people who had made an influence, not only on the church, but to the republic itself. Mm-hmm. And we gave 50 of them each quarter. We've invited, I've posted it on my Facebook page. It was live. It's not about church so much, but the history of how the church came to be.
And I watched the beginning of the celebration.
Okay.
That I did. Now, quickly, I just want to say this quickly. I don't want to forget. Now that you have mentioned Dr. Burrow,
right?
I would like for us to extend an invitation for him to come on the Providence Server too. Absolutely. Since I would appreciate it, Joy and I would appreciate it, since you already have a relationship with him, please extend an invitation to him on our behalf.
I will.
And Joe will reach out to him and invite him.
I will. Okay? Definitely.
Because we want to see our country go forward. As Joe emphasized, this is non-political.
Right.
We want to see Liberia go forward. We are very passionate about this, and that is why we are inviting the likes of you to come on here and talk sense. Okay.
Absolutely. And the church is right there. When I was in Liberia, Joe, or myself, from March to about May, I believe. And when I go there, I ride a pimpin, I ride a tuk-tuk. I'm not waiting for nobody to bring car to me. I need to get to where I need to get to. And you telling me to wait for you and your driver to come in that kind of traffic. If I gotta go meet somebody,
that's why I wanted you to come on here.
But Miatta, it's not like Miatta, you can take risks. You're a daredevil.
I set her up.
If I wanted to go to meet with somebody, I come in to wait for you, Joe, to send me your car and your driver. Seriously, I will not get there. I will not accomplish my aim.
No, I'm not brave like you. So I never try pimping or keke
I
in
went
Liberia.
on a motorbike. I whisper
I see
in the
them
boy.
driving. It's just completely reckless.
I whisper in the boy ear. I said, let me tell you something. Say, why, oh man? I said, you see the way I'm holding your waist? He said, yes. I said, if you make mistake, don't think I the one will fall down. Because the way I'm holding you waist, as I'm going, I'm taking you with me. You see it? They laugh, but they get it. And
Yeah.
that put them at ease and put me at ease. So they're extra careful about how they're moving and they're not doing all the craziness.
See,
And
Joe, yeah, she knows how to blend in, Joe.
you see it?
I know. But you know, Miatta, you brought up about the 200, I think, and is it bicentennial? That is all.
Yes.
Okay. And they plan on having some sort of big program in Liberia and inviting, you know, African Americans and all that, because they're part and parcel of Liberian history, whether they know it or not. That's why I tell when I talk to my African American, that's a friend I have. She's a PhD. She's a family friend. And she's interested in Africa and all that. But I tell her, I say, where I'm from, Liberia, that's your history. Every African American supposed to know that history.
Yeah,
that they created a country in Africa to send emancipated, you know, slaves. You're supposed to know it. I've got to go. But she well read. She said, "Oh yeah, I know it." You know, she would tell me, you know.
But you see, Joe, you typical Liberian man. You say you're supposed to know it. They're supposed to know it. How they supposed to know it if we're not teaching it? That's part of what we ought to be doing.
They don't teach it in schools. They don't teach it in schools here because they are afraid.
No, but
that's why you see all this movement against critical race theory. Because I know Liberia part of that critical race theory.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's why when I write Black Lives Matter. It's Liberia's lives matter.
Yeah,
you got to accept and acknowledge that truth.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter is Liberia's lives matter, because the exact same thing that our cousins went through and suffer here is what they took back with them. That's what they knew. The people that went were the butlers and the chauffeurs. They're the one who were passing the note in the 1800s from the boss man there and taking it. And so they were eavesdropping. They were watching the True Party. They were taking messages. They were opening the doors for these people to come in and have dinner and lunch and have these discussions. When the colonization society started, guess what happened? They were the ones who were there.
My question to you is, do you think we're ready to host a whole group coming to Liberia? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the tourism infrastructure?
Let me just...
What I recently would call you, because you know how to connect the dots. You just came back from Liberia yourself. Do we have that infrastructure to take an exodus, say maybe, who knows, depending on how well they do the marketing, you get something like 50,000 Americans going to Liberia at the same time. Do we have that? What would you say to that? I brought it up the last time and somebody would tell me, well, you know, you just being pessimistic, and yes, we will. I said, well, even the road from Robertsfield, you know, you're trying to drive from Robertsfield to Central Monrovia. For every mile, it takes you about, what, an hour, a mile or something like that. And they say, oh, no, nonsense. You know, the government would do X, Y, Z. So, okay, that's fine. But what do you say personally?
After she gives her point of view, I want to say something too.
Well, for the numbers that you call, my thing is, they say baby to crawl before it walk.
Okay.
Baby to crawl, then it try to hold on to something and learn how to stand, and then they start to take one step, two step, and then we encourage, right? Yeah. We're encouraging that baby, singing to them, nurturing them, inviting them, getting them excited enough to take that next step and that next step and that next step, right? Before. So that being said,
quick second.
Our country, I say, should have been the tourism capital of West Africa. Hands down. Because by God's design, it is made that way. Unfortunately, during the centuries, it skipped everybody that were in office to look at it from that perspective. So it's past now, and here we are, right? We've become conscious because of social media. And we also being, because of social media, we have the opportunity to explore our own country. But if you remember back in our days growing up, you couldn't go in the country really. You couldn't eat country chop. You can't eat repama on Sunday. Those were somebody. Those were somebody.
That's my story right there.
Yeah. So we didn't spend time exploring outside of Monrovia. I did because I like culture.
I did, as I said earlier, I did 3 counties.
So
I didn't. I was a complete Monrovia boy, born, raised all my life right there.
you see, so but now when you have gone outside of Monrovia, or you have been well read and exposed, then you go from ignorance to awareness, right? When you become aware and knowledgeable, what's going to take you back to ignorance? You shouldn't go back. And that's what beats me about us, when we in America or in the diaspora, we're doing and following and emulating or the things that we have seen and learned. But when the moment we get an opportunity to go to visit, our minds begin to think about things that shouldn't be, or what we're going to do that we shouldn't be doing. You see, it's here. Now, let's come forward to the question that you posed. I personally am, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking to the other because you come to say, oh, there she go with something else again. And she said, doesn't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Take a stab at it.
Don't hold me at it. I'm the coordinator between 2 historic Baptist churches. My own home church in Trenton, Shiloh Baptist Church, Historic Baptist Church, and Providence Baptist Church, the cornerstone of the nation. So we form a collaboration, Shiloh and Trenton, Shiloh and Providence. And every year for the last probably 7 years, I would say, we go to Liberia to visit Providence on their anniversary. We go the end of February, beginning of March. Every September, Providence come to us, and we have a Liberia Day, which was 2 weeks ago, and the Reverend Dr. Samuel Reeves preaches at Shiloh. We take groups, not only from our church, we take them from various churches all over. And I am usually the person, along with Pastor Dara Armstrong, that go to Liberia and take a group of people. And when we take this group of people, they voluntarily come. They want to come. They want to, and of course, we're constantly selling Liberia, the history, the connection. And so we bring them as tourists to the church's anniversary, and then we take them through the historical sites that are available, beginning with Providence, because Providence, the old church, is a historic site. You walk 2 steps, you at the pavilion, you go around the corner, you at the museum, which most people on the ground haven't gone to visit, and I implore you, it's a must that you go visit. If you go up the hill towards Ashmore Street, there's the new bank right there. There's the E.J. Roy building. There's the library that used to be the home of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, I believe. Then there's College of West Africa, CWA. So just within that perimeter itself is historic. Yeah. That's a tour right there by itself. But even we, on the ground and in the diaspora, don't even know or haven't even visited, or because it's not my church, so I can't go there. Does it have to be that what Jesus Christ spoke about? He told you, say, the edifice that belongs to me, it must be for you before you go there. You should want to go there just because you are a Christian, one. Two, you should be excited about going there because it's a historical site. That's where the history of Liberia began,
Okay.
right? So now, to where we are, we're speaking to, we one thing about us Liberian, our leg, by the time one new terminology hit the ground, we're running with it. Oh, you just say one word and we take it and we're running. You just say one thing and we take it and we're running. You just start one business, we take it, we're running. Everybody will do the same business. Chris, you started a car business. Go tell Joe, my man, I went to Liberia, I carried my car. I sold 2 cars there. My man there, next thing, what Chris doing? Oh, yeah, Chris is going to go jump in there. So now the buzzword is tourism, 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 tourism. Without defining tourism, I say go Google. Without looking at what it entails, what you need to have, how you need to encourage and invite people to, where you're going to lodge them, where you're going to feed them, where you're going to show them. All of these things come into play, but the buzzword is tourism. So everybody running with tourism. No one has sat down, and I'm still waiting and listening to see who sits down from the ministry or wherever else to break it down in simple English.
You just spoke my language.
In simple English, yeah. Tell me the tourism, what you're talking about. What that wetty?
Yeah, you just spoke my language. Because yes, there are several things I would like to add to that. Okay?
Yeah?
In July, the last 3 days of July, I was involved in the U.S. Africa Business Summit. And there was a young Liberian lady from Denver, Colorado, who was promoting Liberia's tourism industry or sector. And then there was this Caucasian gentleman who is already involved in taking Americans to West Africa to explore the tourism sector. And in West Africa, they're going to Ghana. In East Africa, they're going to Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. And so he posed a question to the young lady. Does Liberia have the infrastructure to accommodate tourists at this particular time? And she did not respond. And so he said to her, I will be coming to Denver next week, and I would like to meet with you so that we can discuss this further.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you and Joe, I'm sure you are aware, at the end of the Liberian Civil War and at the inception stages of the interim government of Liberia, there were 2 prominent African-American organizations involved in promoting Liberia's image in terms of Liberia being a country that is being transformed in the 21st century. And they were the defunct Sullivan Foundation. I went to several of their functions in both Washington and New York. They spent a ton of money promoting Liberia's image. And then there was the Robert Johnson's group of companies who also promoted Liberia on every social media platform in America. And that is why he built that $10 million tourist resort, Kendija, to promote tourism in Liberia. And he went further to get Delta Airlines, if you all recall, to have a direct flight to Liberia. So it's not that the African American community were not involved. They were at the end of the Civil War. They were involved. There were actors and actresses who went to Liberia, met with the former leader of the country, Madam Sirleaf. Okay? So I don't know where we went wrong. And then all of a sudden in 2020, Ghana gets the benefit and not Liberia, who should be at the forefront of benefiting from the African American community.
Yeah, but I think the simple answer to that will be that Ghana didn't go through the sort of, destruction that we went through for 14 years. So they were already ahead. Back to that question, the man asked the young lady, they were already ahead. Infrastructure.
Exactly so.
You see,
yes.
With us, it's kind of like a building process. I tell you what, 2005, 2006, just about the time for the inauguration of President Sirleaf, I went to Liberia. I mean, I was shocked at what I saw in late 2005. You look up, you see bullet holes on walls and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. Because it was my first time going back to Liberia in like 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I really wasn't ready for it. But and I didn't feel safe at all. Because I felt that for some reason, some of the places I went that were being targeted, during the inauguration, you dress up and things like that. People looking at you and stuff. I say, and so that's where we're coming from. And it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while.
I was going to continue by saying what you said, because I've been going to Liberia ever since the war. So the bullet hole you're talking about, I know. The stench of human dead, rotting smell, I know. And being hypersensitive is even worse. May his soul rest in peace. I used to work with my friend and buddy, or Reverend Boodoo Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know him. I knew him.
I knew him very well too. I knew him.
Well, always when he had something to do, he called me. We go, whether it was Capitol Hill or in the bush delivering and somebody's baby and stuff like that. So I've seen the transition from the bullet holes that you're talking about, the crater in the middle of the airport where the pilot had to use one headlight to be able to skip over this crater to land. To where it is today. That's what upset me when I hear people say, but what in a day? What in a day? Let me tell you something. If somebody had this deck of cards laying here and it was here, and everybody jumped over it, and one day it get moved to here, somebody say, let's clean up the place, and they move it from here to here. They did something. They took their time, their effort, and the energy to move it from here to here. So when I hear people say, what have somebody done? It upsets me, because you're not here. You don't know what people are going through. Okay? You know your responsibility just from keeping a home, how difficult it is. Then imagine taking a country from 2 decades of war to where it was when this new government took it over.
Yeah.
Whether it was Robert Johnson coming in there, okay, he had a mind. This is a situation. This is what we could do to build it up. But in doing so, sometimes you have your peripheral vision and you're seeing one thing, or you're creating mentally something else and you're not seeing the rest of it until you get in it sometimes, and then you can see it better. And then you have to sit back and say, okay, we started here because we were not looking at there. But now that we see there, we see that here is not the way to go. So then what do we do? Do we step back and say, come back to America and say, that Liberia there, that place there, blah, 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 and talk negative about it?
Yeah.
If I got up from here, I took my $15,000 that I worked for with the back in the normal day mentality and went back to Liberia to invest, because Chris told me about our car business. And I go there and find out it's a different change. But I went there with my excitement, with my ideology of yesterday, and go jolly, and those young girl put out there push food the minister bra, and they chop all my money, and I do with the money what I had to do with it, and it got out of my hand. When I come back, why do I have to come to lie to Joe that the country ain't good? Tell the truth. That you went there with one idea, you got there, things wasn't the same, it had changed. Now you came to an awareness, you had lost, so come back and regroup. Don't go tell a lie. Those were some of the mistakes that were made. There are beautiful places for tourism in Liberia right now that have come from where it was back then to here. For example, Hester Baker, friend of mine, who has the resort in Bassa. I don't know if either one of you have been there.
Yeah, I've been there. It's down the road from my Bassa, my house in Bassa.
Okay, so here is this beautiful young lady who went to Liberia during the heat of the war. And she started in the publishing area. And she published the Liberian magazine, top of the line. Okay. If you haven't seen it, it's not published anymore.
I used to buy it from her.
Okay, there you go. Top of the line. I have a bunch of them in my African room. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
But something happened along that path during that time. Was it feasible? Was it the right time for that kind of top of the line magazine? Could the people afford it? Who were the clientele to purchase such a thing? Yes, it was a fantastic idea. It was beautifully laid out. The scenery was just absolutely, because Liberia is such a beautiful scenic country. But were the Liberian people ready for such? So when that didn't go through, she stepped back. She had to be still. She regrouped and she came back with what she has today. You see? So that's one of the phenomenal women that see the glass half full, that knows that Liberia is rich for tourism and that we can come and we can do something. Now you talk about infrastructure. If we
Miatta, yes. Forgive me, but I need to ask you a question quickly. Is that the young lady, Joe, that we're supposed to have on the Problem Solver podcast forum, the one who is involved in tourism back home, or is this someone else?
No, it's not. It's somebody else.
Okay.
It's you're talking about Zawadi.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
so she's based in Monrovia here.
Zawadi is based in Sacramento, California, but she's always she's a smart young lady now. I mean, if you look at her
I'm sure Miatta might know her.
Yeah, I forgot. She got her, her formal name, but she called herself Zawadi M on YouTube. Okay. But she's pretty smart. I mean, she has a master's degree. She's got several businesses in Liberia. Right. And she understands how to connect the dots, and she gives advice to people that go into Liberia.
Okay. All right, Miatta, proceed, Miatta. Yeah, so Miatta now will be our what you call it, conduit, or our spokeswoman. We're going forward now. We're going to have all your professional friends on the Problem Solver podcast.
So you know that's the tourism. There's a big tourism coming up in December, from December to January, February. I think is the year of the diaspora reunion, 2021.
Yes, I saw that.
2022. Yeah. So Hester is involved. Is involved in it, and there's a whole lot of things that's going on in Liberia. Okay. So there's the creativity, there's the talent.
There you go.
No doubt that we have. It's just the leadership, and you talk about infrastructure. So now you talk about when I was there each year, I see a difference. This year when I went, for me personally, was my worst year because I was seeing things that had deteriorated from the time of the inauguration to now. where it was.
You sound just like me, Miatta. I came back 2 months ago. The same thing I told people. I said, they were my wife's year. And I've been going to Liberia pretty much every year. But
I have two. I have two.
yes, we are came to power. My first time going to Liberia.
I have two.
I was
But that is
his inauguration every year in between.
Yeah.
So this is why it is of significant importance that Miss Miatta Stella-Herring be our spokeswoman going forward. We want to have all of the professional women who have your impeccable credentials to come on here. Since the powers to be don't want to have you in the forefront, Joe and I are wholeheartedly willing to have you all come on here and share with us your expertise to move our country forward. Because you guys have already done your due diligence here and on the home front. You don't have to be in the background. You now need to be at the forefront. So we have now created a forum for the likes of you to come on and share with your fellow Liberians, brothers and sisters, how we can move our country forward. And let's forget about all the freaking politics, because without economic empowerment, all that crap on social media is meaningless.
Of course. Yeah. And there's like I said, creativity, there's talent, there's businesses going on. Yes. Like I was talking earlier about one of the businesses that I invested in, which is with Armstrong Java.
Yes.
Who's doing the rice and now the onion growth farming in Liberia. This young man is doing fantastic. Mm-hmm. This young man is creating a generational wealth. Right. And he asking, it's no secret that he asking every Liberian to come and join him. There's a initial fee that you pay, and there's installments until you get through paying it, and you're part of that program. And you see, it's all clear, it's all there. He grows the rice, which our generation before, rather than embrace the richness of what Liberia has, neglected it and allowed the Indians and the Chinese to bring dirt to poison our body in the name of Poo Sava, which when Firestone had the plantation and they needed to feed their laborers and give them belly full, like they don't say, then that's where those terms come from. So they imported these cheap rice and sold it to people, and that's what we become accustomed to. And it became a business. So these people importing this rice, these people getting their cut off of the importation of the rice by the Indians and the Chinese and whoever importing them, $1 billion business. Therefore, they failed to recognize that in their own country, on their own soil, they have the 3 best rice in the world, namely the ruby red rice, the red rice that we call country rice, and the pearly white rice. 3 best in the world that have all the health benefit. But here we importing dirt that causes us ailment. And because we don't educate, because we suppress and oppress our own people and don't educate them, and I say so because when you look at our school system, and I always say in the America that you live, which is our ally, our big power, if they have school at every corner, elementary, middle, and high school, then in my little mind, I wonder as a child and been wondering till I get old, why is it that all of the people before didn't allow this system to be built as the American that we are follow? You see, that's the difference between us. And you mentioned Ghana and Nigeria and Sierra Leone. They were under that British. But British people, unlike Americans, us, they went into Africa and saw its beauty and a place that they could live. So when they went in there, they built structures and infrastructures. So by the time 50 years ago, when Ghana got its independence from the British, they already had a foundation And it's upon those foundations that they build to be where they are today. Where did we come from? We came from the slave master house. Anybody went there, build structure, infrastructure? No, we had nothing. We had no school. The schools that are there that we call good schools, CWA, BW Harriet, St. Teresa Convent, they all what? Christian institution. It's not institution that the government put in place. The American Cooperative School that in Liberia, where is it? It's in the same place that you and I were 50 years ago. Hello? So tell me, why hasn't it changed? Why hasn't it expanded? You see? So our society, if I were to fight and continue to fight for anything, the first thing I would ask for anybody who come in there is to please build our education system. Because our problem is not politics. Our problem is ignorance, is illiteracy. And that's what we need to focus on. And that's my advocacy. That's my fight on the ground. So when I saw a Jabate with this idea, and I had my 2 cents, where am I going to put my 2 cents in? But in that business. And that's what I did. I'm vested in there.
Yeah.
The other situation I'm vested in
Mhm.
is a livestock business that's up and coming. So here's a young man who graduated from the university. They all graduated, have no job. And he's there, he graduated with this degree. So a cousin of mine, I'm on his board of his organization, Vavi Sarian, he's in Liberia, encourage the young people. You got the power in your hand and in your mind. You graduated from school, you have this knowledge and this piece of paper called degree. You're running behind government. You're not getting nothing from government. How about you try to institute something of your own? And out of that came this idea of this livestock business. And again, invested in that. So the young man is doing it. We've built the facilitation. We've purchased the pigs and wherever, and we're breeding them. And eventually it's going to grow and we're going to begin to supply, food for our people. But in the same token, it's a learning situation. I always say we learn to live so that we can live. We live to learn so that we can learn to live better.
Two things I want to hit on. You mentioned education. I think we really need to rework our educational system because as it is, our focus now is on rote learning, where you just, the student will just memorize and then he spit it out at some exam or some test he taking. There's no
all these women, so now she can bring them on board
Yeah,
to
but
help
Exactly.
us make this happen.
absolutely a good platform, and I applaud you guys for it. And there's a lot we need to do. Each one teach one. That's my
There you
philosophy.
go. There
Each
you
one
go.
teach one.
There
And
you go.
I travel around the world. Um, like I say, I like to sing those
You
songs.
got to work on that Spanish though. From our conversation, she goes to Cuba and other Spanish countries.
Yeah, I seen all of her photos on the Facebook pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was who was I telling Joe today? Like when I was in Cuba and I went on a Hemingway project, and so we visited all things Hemingway,
Mhm.
and we ended up visiting a family of four. They are good friends of mine and Facebook friends of mine. The father, the mother, the daughter, and his son. And in their home, they had their little business. And they used to make sausages that they sell to the neighborhood, to the families and the neighborhood stores and stuff like that. And I stayed and watched them work together, four in unison. The mom was seasoning the meat, and the dad and the daughter, they put the meat, and they had, you know what they had? The old grinder. Remember that old silver looking grinder you grind with a hand?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
They took like say a water bottle, and they cut the head of the water bottle and the body, like towards the neck of the water bottle, and they attach it to the grinder. And so when they put the meat in the grinder, it will come through the water bottle, and the shape of the mouth of the water bottle was the shape of the sausage. And it
Wow.
was
Now
amazing.
that's what I call creative and innovative.
Yes. And they will put it
Exactly.
on the table, and the one person, the daughter, the son, will cut it into the sizes, and the other person will patch it and box it. And I, mentally, and I'm saying, wow, it's those kind of simplistic
Mhm.
ideology and innovation that we need in Liberia, that we got mangoes floating all over the place, that you could
Mhm.
use those kind of little idea to make juices.
Yeah.
And those things are happening now, because I really, really am excited about the things that these new or generation are doing, because Liberia has changed. They're making all things Liberian, from earrings to food stuff, and the packaging. And we
Yeah.
talk about the Agora, Liberia.
You just see, I was just about to ask you about that.
There you go.
I knew she was
I
going
was
there.
just about to ask you about that. Okay.
I knew she was going there. Go ahead. We thought Chris and I talk about that all the time. In fact,
Yes.
that we're not taking advantage of AGOA, because AGOA is designed to help us, especially the entrepreneurs in our society, ship things to the United States for, no duty, right?
But Agora was embraced in Liberia 2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, but the percentage of Liberians that actually partaking in it
Benefiting.
is very minuscule.
There's a process. There was 17, I believe, Liberian products that were approved to come to the United States. So the U.S. Embassy, the program that they were in, helped them to do packaging and branding and all
Oh,
of that. And they had to do it correctly, because it had to be acceptable by the USDA.
right,
And
right.
Liberia won. And so they came to the United States. They were in New York, and they
I
had a
saw
broad
that.
display. I was
Yep,
there, but I
I
was on
saw
my
that.
way.
Really? They accepted
Yes,
it?
you did. I saw that,
Yeah.
Joe. Yes, I saw
Hold up,
that.
hold up 1 second. Let me grab something, because I have.
Yes. Yeah,
I
I
have
saw that, Joe. I saw that.
No, I'm just hearing about it, because I always saying that, this program is there and nobody's,
Yeah.
very few
Well,
people taking
it's not fully implemented. That's the problem. I
Mm.
mean, Liberia can benefit more than what they are right now. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, because
Oh,
the
but
agriculture sector alone.
So this
Okay.
this is rum, simple rum, made
Yes.
by J.U. Richardson.
Mhm.
And this
okay.
is the packaging and the label.
Ah,
Hey, can
Okay.
you send
and
some
that
of that
was
my way?
accepted by
Can
the
you send some of that my way?
I will pass also information about
What do you do with that
So-
part
so-
of church woman? Church
but-
woman, what you do with that part?
look. I told you I jack all three boss or none. Yeah, I told you that. Don't play with me, boy. I'm a neo, I'm a wet. Okay. Okay.
so that was accepted.
Yes. So
Wow.
they come in two flavors. Let me tell you, you have the clear one, and then they have this flavored one. Whew, you ain't never taste nothing.
Yeah, but what's the alcoholic content? I mean, I'm sure since it's
Yes,
label,
what's
it
the
listed
proof?
all
Yeah,
that,
what's
right?
the percentage?
Of course, a label or that, but you, boy, you have been drinking that by your long time. What did you come to car ask me that? I find wonder for the 7 people. So just be quiet.
No, but I coming to America, that is still a lot of people country coming to.
I say, what did I say? I said they're two tap. And so,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So
One for Liberia and one for.
this is another made in Liberia product.
Yeah, I saw that.
What is
Yeah.
that?
This one
Like
is
it?
load of pepper.
Oh, okay.
Load of pepper. And
Now
this-
those are sold in those tropical markets. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
in Liberia, they have made in Liberia Day.
Mhm.
They usually have that, and they have clothing. They have all the things made in Liberia. This one is pure ginger, which I like. It's your ginger tea. You buy the Chinese ginger tea and full of chemicals, but this is all pure. And then
Send us the contact information how we can get some of that stuff.
I will. But these are things that's in Liberia, that's made in Liberia, that's not being promoted by us enough that we all
right.
know about them.
Okay, so that's what the Public Forum, this podcast is about.
Right.
Okay,
So-
we got 5 more minutes.
Okay. So we will try to on this forum that is set for that
Yes.
kind of stuff. We'll try to
Yes.
get you connected with some people like John Richardson, who produces this,
Please.
and,
Okay.
and other people
Please.
with things that we need to do
Yes.
on the continent to in Liberia, particularly to bring it, because we have such a beautiful country. We just discovered number 5 waterfall in Cape Mount in Liberia. So we have 5 waterfall.
Wow.
People used to the one in Banga, Batawi. So everybody know Batawi.
Somebody sent me a photograph of all of those waterfalls, but I don't think I have the one in Cape Mount.
There was.
has
I
just
think
been
we put it on his site. There was this, I think, either European or American, a couple of months ago, flying over Bombing County, Cape Mount, that area. And he pointed out, he said, there's another, I said, beautiful waterfall in the thick of the jungle.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Cape Mount,
Yes.
in Grand Cape Mount County, where I grew up.
Yeah.
Wow. Wonderful.
Okay.
So you see, it's a matter of, again, putting knowledgeable people in places, connecting with them, and then those things can happen. Yes, you alluded to the fact that Ghana is when with what Liberia should have and ran with it. But we busy crab barreling
Okay.
that we who's supposed to be allowing the people citizenship, because by the colonization society, they say the country was founded for free people of color. And then we're fighting ourselves for dual citizenship or citizenship and rejecting our own who by virtue of war or wherever went somewhere else to gain the knowledge to come back and develop.
I wanted
So
to
these
address
people
that
say, okay,
earlier. Yeah, I wanted to
why
address
you
that
fighting?
earlier.
Yeah, why you're fighting?
Yeah.
We see something here that you miss.
Yeah.
So you know what? We're gonna take it, we're gonna run with it. So yeah, African American, you got citizenship. Sierra Leone said African American, you got citizenship. So the likes of Stevie Wonder or has moved to Ghana. And these people are going in droves.
Yes.
Who's supposed to be, where are they supposed to be going?
Last
They're
year.
supposed to be going to the door of return, because Liberia is the door of return. Ghana was the door of exit. Senegal was the door of exit.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
where they left from.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a smart way of putting it.
Right.
Yes,
They're
there you
supposed
go.
to
I
come
like
back
that.
to the
Yes.
door of return, and
Yes.
that's Liberia.
Yes.
So we have to be selling ourselves to our brothers and sisters. When I do talks around at my church, I tell everybody, you my cousin. Are you cousin? And the only place for you to go to Liberia. And then we talk about the history of Liberia.
Right.
And I was talking to one of you and telling you about that the Princeton University discovered that colonization society started here in New Jersey. And in fact, from the university, so they're willing to make restitution with Liberia. And so they're going to be having a big conference in Liberia. So there's a lot of things going on that we miss, because if I'm not your friend on Facebook, you don't get to see my post, or
Yeah.
I don't get to see your
Well,
post.
the
You might have
podcast,
something-
the problem solver podcast is here for that purpose, or for
Yes.
those purposes.
But I think Miatta are connected.
Good. Yeah, you told me, Joe, that
Yeah, I
you
think
and
we-
Miatta have crossed paths several times in the past. Okay. Now, quickly,
Yeah.
Miatta, let me say something. I think I might have shared this with you. I'm also the president of a newly established Chamber of Commerce here in Massachusetts. And
you stop.
so my intention is to bring mostly African American businesses to the continent, but Liberia would be top priority on the list, based on the history that we have discussed here, because
Yeah.
a lot of them do know about Liberia's history. Okay, so that is what I'm going to use to promote my beloved homeland.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we need. And I applaud you guys for doing something different. I'm a person of an open mind, and like I say, I jack of all trades. Tell me I can, I tell you I will. Tell me I can't go, I tell everybody the only thing I afraid of is that which I can't see, and that God.
Yeah.
He tell me
That's
he's not
what
a
I'm
fearful
talking
God.
about. Yeah.
So nothing frightens me. You're a human being.
Yeah.
You're not God.
Yeah. Fear
So
nothing but to do wrong.
That's right. I attempt and I go everywhere. I rap pepe, I wear bombo, I tie lapa. Okay, anywhere you take it.
Well,
So you have become
Chris-
an official spokeswoman for the Problem Solver Podcast Forum as
Chris-
of today. Okay.
Chris, you want to close up by thanking
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Please do the honor. Please do the honor, Joe. Please.
well, ladies and gentlemen, I think you all pretty much enjoyed the show tonight. Sis Miatta Herring, our own dear sister. As I said in opening the show, she said it herself. She's a jack of all trades. She's into so many different areas. So we'll probably have a whole week just talking to her and tapping her brain. But unfortunately, every good thing has to come to an end.
We have to come back again because a trailblazer needs more time. Okay,
We're bringing her back, and she got to bring some of her friends. The next
popular
time she
demands.
comes, right? What do you say, Chris? The next time,
absolutely,
she got to bring some of her friends.
Absolutely. We want the women on here.
We will
Okay,
work on that.
we want to involve the women in this process because you all get things done.
So Miatta will give us her part.
Yes,
what they call parting shots.
please do. Go right ahead.
But I am delighted and absolutely humble to be a part of this program. You see, there's a time for everything under the sun. I say, good player, don't fall for Jesse. What God got for you will see your face, because he already destined it. He already aligned it, and he lets it happen. Here I am, I'm sitting here, and this person is watching me on Facebook, and he's talking to me in bits and pieces, and he's telling me all of these messages, and I'm telling him to calm down, be cool, I pray for him, and from that, look where we are. And I didn't know his connection with V were that intense. I didn't know that was his relative. I didn't know that, but you see what, like I say, has already been in place. Nobody can take it because it's already aligned, and you don't know how. That's the mystery of God that we try to probe, but he does it his way and in his time. So it is the time. And that's why we're here. And I'm humble and thankful to God first. and to you guys for establishing such a platform that we can come together to brainstorm, share ideas, and have a little bit of laugh as we or collaborate, communicate, collaborate, so that we can corroborate on what will be a good result
Yes.
for the future generation, if not us.
Absolutely.
So I thank you guys very, very much.
Thanks to you.
We wholeheartedly thank you for
Right.
taking the time from your busy schedule to join us and share with our fellow Liberians the things that you have done and aspiring to do. But quickly, Joe, I must commend you for such a brilliant idea, because it was Joe who called me and said, Chris, we need to do something different besides politicking. And here we are. And we've had some very interesting guests with us in the past who are already doing a lot on the home front.
And you notice we went like a little bit, probably 2 hours.
Yes.
Well, any political discourse.
Yes. We don't have time for that.
Permeating our conversations. We just look at things from an objective, position.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's what we do here. Basically, it's politics free. Like Miatta said, brainstorming, dot connecting. That's what we're all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope to see you soon, and we hope to see Sis Miatta back with some of her friends, and we can have another
very high profile friends. I have that list.
Okay, there you go, and you too. Look, you gotta get some of your friends on, okay?
I don't definitely. I will connect you guys with some of my friends.
Please do. We appreciate it very much. We want to promote the sisters, okay? Thank you so much. This has been very, very exciting. Okay?
Right.
No worries.
Thanks a lot.
Good evening.
Good night, my dear sister.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.